Today we're going to explore a different way of thinking about women's core health. It's a gentle, supportive approach that doesn't rely on pills, but instead on a simple, daily ritual. So, let's dive in and see what that's all about.
The guide starts with this really powerful statement. If you've ever felt like your health concerns were dismissed, or that painful, unpredictable cycles were just something you had to live with, this right here is an acknowledgement. It's saying what you're experiencing is real, and so many others are right there with you.
And that really gets to the heart of it. The idea here is that these aren't just isolated symptoms to be managed. They're important signals from your body. This guide really tries to shift the focus toward understanding what your body is trying to tell you and how to support its natural balance.
Okay, so here's how we'll walk through this. We'll start by talking about that shared experience many women have. And then we'll look at this unique, non-pill support method. We'll touch on the tradition behind it, what you might realistically expect, and finally, how to figure out the right starting point for you. First up, let's just take a moment to look at the bigger picture, because this really isn't about just one symptom. It's about how all these different aspects of women's health are so deeply connected. And you can see just how holistic this view is. It connects everything from our monthly cycles and fertility journeys all the way to postpartum recovery and just that feeling of vitality. It's about seeing the body as a whole system, not just a bunch of separate parts. So how does this approach actually work? Well, this is what makes it so different. It's all about external support. There's nothing to swallow, just a simple, consistent daily ritual. At the center of this whole method is an herbal pouch. You can think of it as a gentle, daily companion for your body, a consistent source of support, not some kind of quick fix.
And using it is incredibly simple. You just place the pouch directly on your skin, right over your navel, and then you secure it with a soft, breathable belt. The whole idea is for it to be a really seamless part of your daily routine.
Okay, so that's the how. Now let's get into the why behind this approach. It's actually rooted in a very old tradition, traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM for short.
Now, a core concept in TCM is something called qi. You can think of it as your body's vital energy or life force. And the idea is pretty simple. When your qi is flowing smoothly and freely, you feel balanced and healthy. So this approach is all about supporting that natural flow.
In this traditional view, women's health is seen as this beautiful, delicate dance between qi, blood, and the body's own natural rhythms. And the goal of this approach is to provide the foundational support needed to help keep that dance in harmony. So, how does all of that philosophy translate to real-life concerns? Let's take a look at what the guide says about something like menstrual health, for example. The guide brings up a pretty compelling number here, 82%. But of course, a number on its own doesn't tell the whole story.
So here's the context. In a small case series with 16 women who had various menstrual disorders, 82% of those who had absent periods, that's called amenorrhea, saw their cycle return within 30 days. Now, it is really important to be realistic here. The guide is very clear that this is not a guarantee. These are definitely promising observations from a very small group. But of course, more and larger studies are needed to really confirm these kinds of findings.
And when the conversation turns to fertility, the guide is very thoughtful in its language. It's presented as a supportive companion for your journey, something that can be used alongside conventional care, not as a replacement for it. Okay, so if you were to try this, what should you actually expect to feel, and when? Let's look at the kind of timeline the guide suggests. The guide lays out a pretty typical path. You might notice some subtle shifts pretty early on, maybe more noticeable changes within the first week. Day 30 is a good time to kind of pause and check in with yourself. And, if you're dealing with more long-term chronic issues, it might take a couple of months to really feel a significant difference. The real key here is just being patient with your body. And finally, let's talk about how to find the right starting point for you. The guide makes it pretty easy to choose the right kind of support for your specific needs. And it's really as straightforward as this. You just choose the support that lines up with your primary concern. So whether that's painful periods or irregular cycles, or you're looking for fertility support, there's a clear path laid out. You're really in the driver's seat of your own journey.
So what's the bottom line here? This approach is really for anyone looking for a gentle, consistent, and discreet way to support their body's well-being, and do it all without having to swallow a pill.
And one final, very important note. This is a supportive tool. It is not and should not be a substitute for medical care. You should always consult with your doctor for any diagnosis and treatment.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. If you're looking for a different kind of care, one that honors tradition and empowers you to really listen to your own body,
Could a gentle daily ritual be the missing piece in your wellness puzzle?